Have you ever just, stared at a closet that's absolutely packed, like you can barely shut the door, but still feel like there's nothing in there that really works?
Oh, definitely. Or walked into a room in your own house and just felt, I don't know, stressed just by the sheer amount of stuff everywhere.
Exactly. It's a feeling I think so many of us know.
It really is. We're just swimming in this world of constant ads, easy clicks to buy,
Mm.
and it leads to homes, lives maybe, just overflowing. And the irony is it often makes us feel more overwhelmed, not, better.
It really does. And that overwhelm, that's precisely what we're getting into today on e-commerce psychology.
hmm
We're looking at how we can maybe navigate all this consumption, this feeling of overload, by using some ideas from, well, minimalism, especially when we're thinking about those bigger ticket items.
Right. Those more significant purchases.
Yeah, and we've looked at some really interesting sources that unpack this, and honestly, they challenge some common ideas about buying things.
And what's really striking, I think, is that this isn't just about, like, decluttering for the sake of it. Though, sure, that's part of it.
Right, having less stuff physically.
But the sources really emphasize how thinking this way about what you buy can actually lead to, well, saving money, seriously cutting down on stress, and freeing up your time and, like, mental space for the things in life that you actually value most.
Okay, our mission for this deep dive. Pull out the key insights from these sources to help you figure out what really matters when you're buying something, especially something significant, how to make better, more intentional choices.
And then experience those sort of psychological upsides that come with curating your life around fewer but better things.
Exactly. And speaking of being intentional, this deep dive is powered by Growth Suite. Growth Suite was actually mentioned by the author of one of our sources. It's a tool that helps you run smart discount campaigns on your store.
Interesting connection.
Yeah, so if you happen to be a Shopify store owner and you're looking to focus your own business resources on what really delivers value, you can check it out. Test it for free just by searching Growth Suite on the Shopify App Store.
It makes sense, that parallel idea of focusing resources, whether it's your personal life or your business, on what gives you the best results.
Okay, so let's unpack this whole minimalism thing, because I think for a lot of people, you hear minimalism and you picture what? Like an empty white room, maybe one uncomfortable chair.
Yeah, totally stark deprivation almost.
Right. But the sources we looked at really argue against that stereotype, don't they? They're pretty clear that's not what modern minimalism, especially in how we buy things, is really about.
Not at all. Minimalism, it started as an art thing, right? Simple forms, stripping away anything extra. But now it's broadened out into more of a life philosophy. It's fundamentally about being intentional,
Yeah.
deliberately choosing things, moving away from just mindlessly buying
Yeah.
whatever catches your eye, which our culture kind of pushes us towards.
So it's less about having nothing and more about being really conscious, really deliberate about having the right things for you.
Precisely. There's a great definition from Joshua Becker. He runs Becoming Minimalist that our sources mention. He puts it like this: minimalism is the intentional promotion of the things we most value and the removal of anything that distracts us from it.
Okay. So promoting what you value, removing distractions. I like that.
Yeah, it's about lifting up what makes your life better and clearing out the clutter that gets in the way. Physical clutter, sure, but also mental clutter, even emotional baggage tied to stuff.
Which, yeah, brings us right back to why we even need to think about this. Why are so many of us just drowning in possessions? That statistic you mentioned earlier from one of the sources, it blew my mind. The average American home has over 300,000 items.
300,000. It's staggering, isn't it?
It really is.
And it points to this huge psychological weight that we often don't even realize we're carrying. I mean, think about it. Every single thing you own needs something from you.
Like what?
Well, you've got to decide where it lives. You have to clean it, organize around it, maybe maintain it, fix it if it breaks, and eventually you have to figure out how to get rid of it.
Wow. That's a ton of hidden work baked into owning things. A massive cognitive load.
Exactly. And it feeds right into what psychologists call choice paralysis. When you have so many options, even simple things like picking a shirt or finding, a screwdriver becomes mentally taxing.
Too many choices just freezes your brain.
Pretty much. The sheer volume makes everything feel harder.
And it's not just the practical side or the thinking side. There's an emotional cost too, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. More and more studies are linking having lots of possessions, not really with more happiness, but actually with more stress.
Even guilt.
Guilt.
How so?
Well, stuff we don't use can make us feel guilty for buying it. Things needing constant upkeep cause stress. And one source even mentioned neuroscience research suggesting that just the visual clutter in our space can literally make it harder for our brains to focus.
Okay, so this isn't just about having a neat-looking house for Instagram or whatever.
Not at all.
It's actually about freeing up your mental energy, reducing that daily friction, and just feeling calmer inside.
Yes. It's about taking back your attention and your energy from managing things so you can put it towards what actually enriches your life. Relationships, learning, experiences, creativity.
Okay, so if the idea isn't just buy nothing, but buy the right things, we need to talk about value. Because usually when we think value, we think cheap, right? Lowest price wins.
And this is exactly where this minimalist way of thinking flips the script completely. Real value in this framework is judged by way more than just the price tag you see first.
Okay, so what else?
Well, our sources talk about longevity, like how long will this thing actually last and be useful to you? Functionality, does it do its job well? Versatility, can you use it for multiple things? And maybe the most important one, joy. Does it actually make your life better or bring you real pleasure, not just a quick hit?
So that item that costs more upfront could actually be better value if it lasts way longer, works perfectly, and maybe does the job of 2 or 3 cheaper things.
Exactly. The sources point to specific things to look for. The materials, natural ones, often last longer and look better as they age. The craftsmanship is well put together. Repairability, huge one. Can it be fixed, or is it designed to be thrown away?
Right, disposable culture.
Yeah. And timelessness? Will it still look okay and work well in 5, 10 years, or is it just a fad? And like you said, versatility is key. Does one good thing mean you don't need several mediocre ones?
This also kind of reframes luxury, doesn't it? It's not just about slapping a fancy brand name on something.
Totally. The minimalist view of luxury is quite different from just being frugal. Frugality is mostly about spending less. Minimalism is about maximizing value and being intentional.
So you might actually spend more.
You might. But you'd spend more upfront for exceptional quality or craftsmanship, but only in areas that are genuinely deeply important to you. Like the example they gave of a keen home cook investing in one amazing chef's knife that'll last forever and works beautifully, instead of buying cheap knife sets over and over.
That makes sense. It's investing in something that really supports a passion or improves a core part of your life, not just collecting expensive stuff for show.
It's a big mental shift, really. Moving past just the initial price to thinking about the total lifetime value and usefulness of something.
Okay, defining value is one thing, but how do you actually do this? When you're, standing there about to buy something or clicking online, how does this work in practice?
Yeah, good question. The sources give some really practical frameworks, one they call the pre-purchase reflection strategy. It's basically a thinking process you go through before you buy, especially for anything that's not, trivial.
Okay, that's step 1.
First, figure out if it's a genuine need. Are you solving a real problem here, or is this just a want that popped into your head because you saw an ad or felt an impulse?
Need versus want, the classic filter.
Absolutely fundamental. Then, crucially, build in a waiting period. For stuff that isn't urgent, try waiting. Maybe 24 hours for smaller things, maybe even 30 days for bigger purchases.
Let the impulse fade.
Exactly.
Right.
If you still feel you genuinely need or want it after that time, it's much less likely to be a regretful impulse buy.
The power of the pause. Okay.
Then do your homework. Really research. Don't just look at price. Look into the options. Read reviews focusing on how long things last. Understand the materials compared to alternatives. And this is important. Look at what you already own. Do you have something that could do the job? Is this new thing just adding redundancy?
That whole process sounds like it would filter out a lot of unnecessary purchases just by itself. What about those key questions the sources listed? They seem like a good quick check.
They are. Really useful mental checklist.
Yeah.
Like, does this actually add genuine value to my life? Meaning, will it consistently make things better, easier, more enjoyable? Not just be exciting for 5 minutes. Will this thing do multiple jobs? Is it versatile? Is this replacing something I truly can't repair or reuse? Is it a last resort replacement? And maybe the deepest one, does buying this align with my core values and the kind of life I'm trying to build?
Wow. This really make you stop and think about the why. And I like that practical financial bit too, the cost per use idea. That really clicked for me.
It's so powerful, isn't it? And simple. Total cost divided by how many times you realistically think you'll use it over its life. The t-shirt example he uses is perfect.
Yeah, remind me.
Okay, so a cheap $20 t-shirt you wear maybe 10 times before it shrinks or you hate it, that's $2 per wear.
Okay.
But A really well-made $100 t-shirt that you love and wear 100 times, that's only $1 per wear.
So the shirt that seemed 5 times more expensive is actually half the cost every time you put it on?
Exactly. It just blows up the idea that cheaper is always better value. Quality often pays for itself many times over, not just in money saved long term, but in how well it works and how much you enjoy using it.
And speaking of enjoyment, the payoffs here go way beyond just smarter shopping, right? The sources really got into the psychological benefits. That's where it got super interesting for me.
It really is. The mental and emotional perks might be the biggest win here,
Yeah.
like we touched on. Just having less stuff significantly reduces that cognitive load. You spend less brain power choosing, organizing, cleaning, tracking, worrying about, well, stuff.
And that link you mentioned between our physical space and our mental state.
Crucial, absolutely crucial. Calmer, less cluttered rooms genuinely seem to lead to calmer minds. That neuroscience connection about visual clutter messing with focus, pretty solid evidence.
Yeah.
And beyond that, there's this deeper sense of satisfaction that comes from choosing things carefully and really valuing what you do own. You tend to feel less buyer's remorse, more in control of your habits and your life, and maybe even form stronger connections to fewer, more meaningful possessions.
Which feels very different from that quick, fleeting buzz you get from just buying lots of things.
Totally different. The sources definitely echo that research showing experiences like learning, travel, time with people, health stuff bring way more lasting happiness than just getting more material goods. And fundamentally, buying this way is kind of freeing.
How so?
Yeah, liberating. It helps free you from that endless cycle of wanting the next new thing. You become less vulnerable to ads telling you you're not complete without the latest gadget or fashion trend. You start to disconnect from comparing what you have to what others have.
I can see that.
And that frees up not just mental energy, but actual time and physical energy too, which you can then channel into things that genuinely bring you meaning and fulfillment.
Okay, so let's make this really concrete. How do we apply these ideas to specific parts of our lives? The sources broke down a few key areas.
They did. Let's look at some examples. For your home, your living space, it's about thinking. Durable, versatile furniture, maybe that really good sofa bed that works for seating and guests. Choosing things made from natural materials that age well. Picking appliances you can actually get repaired, not just replace. And always asking, does this thing really earn its keep in my space? Does it add real function or beauty?
Technology is always a tricky one. Seems designed to be replaced constantly.
It is a challenge, for sure. With tech, the minimalist angle focuses on repairability. There are companies now, like Fairphone or Framework laptops that the sources mentioned, designed so you can repair them or upgrade parts to make them last longer.
Ah, interesting.
Also focus on what you really need it to do. Core functionality. Do you need all the bells and whistles? Maybe look at ecosystems that let one device do more, reducing the total number you need. And don't forget digital minimalism, cleaning up your app subscriptions. All that digital clutter counts too.
That idea that the most sustainable phone is the one you already have.
Absolutely. See if you can repair or upgrade what you've got before jumping to replace it.
And wardrobes. The classic example of having tons of clothes but nothing to wear.
Oh yeah, perfect territory for this. The capsule wardrobe idea is key here. Building a smaller collection of really good quality, versatile pieces you love that all work together.
Mix and match.
Exactly. Prioritizing natural fabrics that feel good and last. Focusing on fit and classic styles over quick trends. The aim isn't just fewer clothes, it's a better, more functional wardrobe where everything earns its place.
And that idea of investing in experiences instead of just things.
Yeah, that might be the ultimate minimalist purchase in a way. Using your resources for learning, for health, for making memories with people you care about, for supporting your passions. These are investments that actually build your capabilities or deepen relationships, rather than just adding more objects to your house.
Okay, but let's talk money again. This approach sounds like it could get expensive fast. How does that square with the financial benefits you mentioned?
It's a fair question, and probably the biggest hurdle for people initially. But the sources are really clear on the long-term financial advantages. It requires shifting your mindset from short-term cost to long-term investment.
So pay more now, save later.
Essentially, yes. The initial price of a quality item might be higher, but because it lasts so much longer, you replace it way less often. You save all that money you would have spent buying cheap replacements again and again. Plus, better stuff often needs less fixing. Or it's designed to be repairable, which can be cheaper than replacing.
Like that boots example you mentioned earlier, the $200 pair versus the $50 pair every year.
Exactly. Over 10 years, those $200 boots cost you $20 a year. The $50 boots cost you $50 a year. The upfront investment saves you money significantly over time. And this way of thinking changes how you budget, too. You might consciously save up for a quality upgrade, have like an intentional purchase fund. It encourages patience and makes you consider the total cost of owning something, not just the price tag at the checkout.
And didn't the sources mention resale value too?
Yes, that's another key financial plus. Really well-made, durable things. They mentioned brands like Le Creuset cookware or Festool power tools often keep a lot of their value, sometimes 60, even 80%, even after you've used them for years.
Wow.
So you get what one source called use equity. You can sell them on and recoup some cost. Cheap, disposable stuff, basically worthless once you've used it.
Okay, so the financial argument seems pretty solid if you look long term, but it's probably not always smooth sailing, right? The sources talked about challenges too.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely not without its hurdles. One big trap is what they call expensive minimalism.
What's that?
It's when minimalism becomes just another way to signal status by buying pricey designer brands for the aesthetic rather than because they offer genuine quality, function, or align with your values. Getting caught up in seeking perfection, feeling like you have to buy all new, fancy, minimalist things that completely misses the point.
Right, focusing on the look instead of the substance. Brand obsession versus actual quality.
Exactly. Another major challenge is dealing with social pressures. Expectations around gifts, what you're supposed to wear for work, keeping up with what friends or neighbors are buying, even family dynamics around stuff and clutter. Setting boundaries and explaining your choices can be tricky.
Yeah, navigating those conversations.
And then there's just finding your own balance.
How do you mean?
Well, avoiding getting too rigid or dogmatic about it. This isn't about suffering for some ideal. It's about being intentional. You have to be kind to yourself. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. Figuring out what's practical and sustainable for your actual life, not trying to live up to some impossible standard.
Progress, not perfection. I like that. It feels achievable. So if someone's listening and thinking, okay, this makes sense, but where on earth do I start? What's the first step?
The sources give some good starting points. First, just become aware. Do a simple consumption audit. Just track what you buy for a month. See where your money and attention are actually going. It can be really eye-opening.
Okay, awareness first. Then what?
Then, connect with your values. What really matters most to you? What activities, people, goals are your priorities? How should the things you own actually support those priorities?
That self-reflection seems key.
It really is. Then, start small. Please don't try to declutter and change everything overnight. Pick one small category that feels doable. Maybe just your socks, or your coffee mugs, or one shelf of books.
Manageable chunks.
Exactly. Maybe make a short list of 1 or 2 items you use all the time that you know would make a big difference if you upgraded to a really good quality, intentionally chosen version.
And then consciously work on building new habits around shopping.
Yes, this is crucial for making it stick. Try that 24-hour rule for things you want but don't immediately need. Create a little ritual for yourself when researching bigger purchases. Make your own checklist based on those essential questions we talked about. Maybe find an online group or a friend for support.
And how do you keep it going? Make it last.
Long term, it's about checking in regularly. Reassessing your stuff and your habits. Your life changes, your needs change, so what adds value might shift over time. Get into routines for maintaining the good quality things you've invested in so they actually last. And maybe try a one-in, one-out rule for certain things like clothes or books to stop the clutter creeping back in.
This has been really insightful. It genuinely changes how you think about buying things, doesn't it? Especially those bigger purchases. It moves it from just a transaction to, well, a really intentional act.
It really highlights that this approach, minimalist purchasing, it isn't about depriving yourself. It's actually about liberation.
Liberation?
Yeah. Freeing yourself from the weight, financial, physical, mental, of just having too much stuff.
Yeah.
And consciously choosing to surround yourself only with things that genuinely make your life better and align with who you want to be.
And those benefits are just so clear when you lay them out. Saving money, being kinder to the planet, and maybe most importantly, gaining that calmer mind, less stress, more satisfaction, and having more time and energy for what really counts. It feels like a very practical way to live more intentionally.
It is. And the sources really stress, it's your journey. It's personal. There's no single right way to do it. The main thing is just keep asking that question. What truly adds value to my life? Let that be your guide.
Which definitely leaves us with a powerful thought to ponder. Maybe take a look around your own space. Think about the things you own. What possessions in your life right now might actually be taking more from you, demanding your time, your energy, your stress, your mental space, than they're really giving back in value? What could happen if you started letting go of some of those things and focused only on bringing in or keeping what truly adds value for you?
It's a great question to sit with. And on that note, this deep dive into e-commerce psychology has been powered by Growth Suite. Remember, Growth Suite helps you run smart discount campaigns on your store.
Right. So if you're a Shopify store owner wanting to bring that same kind of intentionality and focus on value to your business growth, definitely check out Growth Suite. You can try it for free on the Shopify App Store.